policies that are going to promote industrialization, policies that are going to promote on consumption. 56 million or 50 million people is a big market, which we can actually use it to our advantage. But if we are going to turn our market, our population into market for others, and it's very sad at times in this region, in the 60s and 70s, Kenya was actually the industrial hub of East and Central Africa. As we talk right now, we've seen our neighbors bring a lot of things into this country, and they're selling from Uganda, from Tanzania, from all these. No, we know we are promoting the East African community, but at the same time, we need to be cognizant of the need to make sure that Kenyans have jobs and even the income. And another issue that I want to really make it very clear and is issues that affect the education sector. The education sector is actually a social department. We don't need to get profits. What we need to do is to ensure that we fund this sector to make sure that the learners are not at home. A skilled labor force for this country and the region shall be realized through a proper education system. A skilled labor force for the other parts of the world. Kenyans are renowned in the ICT, in the IT sector. Kenya are renowned in the engineering field. Kenyans are renowned in many sectors. If we are not going to fund the education sector, and more specifically I want to say this, the university education is very key. Basic education by the Constitution is a basic right. And the Constitution has made it very clear that it is free and compulsory, should be given by the state. But there are certain issues that are missing in this particular budget, in this appropriation bill, that I really want to ask the budget and the chair budget to listen very keenly. There is no better provider of education than the teacher. The teacher needs to be given proper medical allowance. He needs to be given the CBA that had been signed. And furthermore, that particular student who is in class should get the requisite capitation so that the teacher can be able to buy the necessary teaching, learning equipment for the school. He could be able to pay the workers. He could be able to have the BOM teachers and many other things. So I know we have certain deficits, which this sector requires a lot. And I've talked to the chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee that needs to be addressed immediately. There are certain contracts that has been entered into. For example, the CBA by the unions. That small deficit needs to be plugged in. There is that deficit on medical insurance. And I told the chair you need to plug in on that.
Honorable Paul Meli, you have
Meli.
15 minutes so that you tell us the deficits. That is why we are honored to have the chair of Budget Committee.
Yes, and I want to say I'm glad.
Just before you came, we members were already identifying some areas where we could get for you those deficits for the education sector.
Thank you. Yes. So that's why, Honorable Chair, I'm just trying to pinpoint those areas so that as we reach at the Ways and Means Committee, or at the third reading, when now we are proposing amendments, I'm just alerting the chair that there are certain sectors that we do not want to wait. Because already we have commitment, especially on those on the CBA, on the medical cover. We also have government students in private universities. There are about 67,000 students in private universities who require about 1.5 billion shillings. These are Kenyans who are in those private universities, and I know as a policy now, we do not have, we are no longer admitting government-sponsored students in public universities. These are the students that are in third and fourth and fifth year. So the government has an obligation to make sure that their monies are remitted. Mr. Speaker, we have also the issue of the new funding formula. I want to laud the government and I want to thank that they have given resources. But still, we still have some money that we need to plug in the same. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as we look at this supplementary budget, issues on technical education is very key. And majority of Kenyans, the Form 4 leavers, we need to engage them, not to be idle. We need plumbers, we need technicians, we need electricians, we need all these people. They will be tooled well or retooled well by the TVETs institutions that we have in this country. And we have a government policy that was in the Vision 2030, that every constituency should have a technical vocational training center. And as we speak now, we still have 52 constituencies without TVETs. I want to tell this House that it is important that every constituency have a well-established TVET with good enough trainers, with facilities, with machinery, and all this will ensure that students in those particular constituencies will be able to attend a TVET within their constituency. And in so doing, we are not going to have a country where we are going to be always seeking for employment. We want a country where people are going to be job creators. It is from this TVET that we are going now to have the young men to be able to be mechanics, to be builders, to be electricians, and all this is going to save the government the headache of trying to get employment for each one. Because in our constituencies, I want to say this, we have the carer projects. These young men, if they register their companies after TVET, they'll be contractors. We are building classrooms. And in those particular classrooms, these young men from TVET are going to be the contractors. They will be electricians from this particular area. So in effect, by not funding the TVET subsector, it has a spiral effect on the overall socio-economic and political effect for this country. So what we are actually doing, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we realize that failure to touch one area will have ramification across the sector. We also have this issue, which is very important, Mr. Speaker, that I know the government has very clear policies on how to fight corruption. It is important. And I want to say this, that even the chair has just pointed out that areas that are not necessary, areas that are not important, should not be funded. And on top of that, we need to reduce excesses, largesse in government sector, so that we are going to run a lean government, a lean sector. And by so doing, we should also make sure that the auditing firms are actually made to make sure that the various government offices are accountable. The Office of Auditor General, I know. And in fact, as a good manager, every good manager should embrace that particular Office of Auditor General because it is giving them alternatives, it is pointing out, it is going to give red flags on areas where the excesses are, areas where there is poor accountability and all that. So in effect, what I'm saying is this. These are very important supplementary, and I want to say that the chair and the committee did a very good job. And as a Committee of Education, I want to commend him, especially when we made a proposal that school feeding shall not be undertaken by a sector that they do not understand the needs of children. And when we made that proposal as a committee, that school feeding be brought back to Minister of Education, he actually listened to us, because the learners and the Minister of Education, it can never be done in ASAL. It can never be done by regional development. You know, it is about accountability. Let the sector that had issues be told to account for it. And if there are administrative and professional problems, I think they shall be sorted out. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I support. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, MP for Buri.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. On the onset, I would like to commend the committee for aligning this supplementary budget with the manifesto of the government in place. Mr. Speaker, the happenings of the last 1 month have given us our failures. They have told us exactly where we have been going wrong. And I would like to say this, Mr. Speaker. It takes sometimes a bit of suffering to realize the way forward. The economics that I learned is said it is necessary to destroy or do away with what you have so that you have a better foundation. That's Tom Schumpeter's. Mr. Speaker, what we are dealing with right now are issues of mismanagement of resources. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the committee for critically looking at the areas where the possibility of mismanagement of resources that we have is quite high. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the committee that going forward, what we need to do as the basis for allocation of new budget for each MDA is the performance and utilization of the resources that they were given in the player here. Mr. Speaker, we cannot be every year in, every year out, that we are doing the same things. When we call the CSs, the PSs, the accounting officers, to come and do a presentation, we don't go in depth as to how they have utilized the money they have been given in the player here. Mr. Speaker, any budget has 3 objectives: short-term objectives, long-term objectives, mid-term objectives, and long-term objectives. Mr. Speaker, if we are targeting to create jobs, we must protect our industries. We must promote local industries. We must enhance productivity across the nation. Mr. Speaker, we cannot grow manufacturing if we don't practice protecting what we have locally and encouraging the potential that we have. Mr. Speaker, when the government targets taxation on imported items, it is not because we want to target and tax our traders. No. The objective here is to promote the local industries and productivity. Mr. Speaker, we have allowed Kenya to be a supermarket where we are even importing onions. We are about to start importing tomatoes. It's dangerous. Mr. Speaker, any budget, any money that collected from the taxpayers must go towards enhancing local manufacturing and hence productivity. Mr. Speaker, we haven't been targeting very much on value addition. And I've looked at this budget, and what I'm seeing is a deliberate effort to enhance value addition in specific sectors like tea, coffee, dairy, leather industry, and even cotton. I don't want to commend the government. But you see, that is a long-term objective, but it has to start from somewhere. And I want to commend the committee because that's the foundation the committee has started looking at. Mr. Speaker, You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's total lapse in civic education when it comes to the budgeting process. I took a lot of time to explain to the people that the finance bill is the tail end. Actually, what we need to start with at the moment of budget policy statement is when we need to go wider to the public out there and talk about our budget and our budgeting processes, so that our people will know what the government is going through. The president of this republic, I'll never hesitate to say, he means well for this country. And he needs everybody on board so that we can travel this journey of enhancing the economy of this country. Mr. Speaker, I ask the chairman of the committee that we need a lot of civic education so that we collect this information that is out there, especially what this parliament does. This parliament has a responsibility of enhancing this economy short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Mr. Speaker, one of the greatest problems and where the can is bottomless is the procurement in this country. There is need for now to address the entire procurement policy and activities for each MDA. Mr. Speaker, I go to buy a pen in the supermarket. If I go to the ministry, the pen will cost 5 shillings. At the ministry, because of the procurement, they buy it at 10 shillings. This is wastage. There is nothing that is cast that we cannot amend our procurement and save a lot of money. And that's one of the things that is healing. Because you find things that somebody is buying a vehicle here from Toyota Kenya at X amount, and somebody else goes through the government procurement, it is almost like it has 20% markup. We need to address that, and they have to look at that. Corruption is a major issue, and I thank the committee because they have been pointing the loopholes, and I pointed to them, one of them, that is procurement. Mr. Speaker, the pending bills is another canless. We know for sure there are some guys who cannot account for what they did. Mr. Speaker, there's a contractor in my constituency. He has done nothing, but I think he has been paid almost like 3/4 of the value of the load. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, misdirecting of resources on things that can be collected. And I want to quote Kenya Airways. We have spent a lot of money on Kenya Airways, here in, here out, but nobody has gotten an answer as to what is healing Kenya Airways. This is a very important sector in our country, and Kenya know. And they expect every financial year, Kenya Airways will be given money by the exchequer. We are trying to strive to salvage an entity swallowing Kenyan taxpayers' money here in, here out, and nobody is really coming out and pinpointing the problem that is with Kenya Airways. And those people who come out to pinpoint what is healing Kenya Airways, some of them are sacked. Some of them are removed. And that's an aspect like misdirection of resources and corruption at the same time. I think we need to address these matters. Number 3, I support the president. We can't start new projects when the old projects are incomplete. And the budget that I'm seeing, the chairman is here, incomplete project. Let's finish the incomplete project. Kenyans, we have lived with this incomplete project for over 20 years. We can wait for 1 more year. We are going to tighten our dressing, our driving, our eating habits. Mr. Speaker, this budget has brought in the element of equality and equity, something that has not been there. The areas said to be marginalized, the areas which requires affirmative action, the areas that requires intervention. And I want to thank the committee for this action, affirmative action, on the allocation of resources for electricity. It's very unfortunate that we are where we are. My constituency, Mbadi constituency, we are 35% connected. And I was very happy when the Finance Bureau was addressing this matter, but people were given the wrong information. And put a lot of hopes for our people. My people in my constituencies expected a lot of connectivity. I want to thank God because I have 15 minutes, not 5. Because this budget now is geared to that. Mr. Speaker, this country is in a lot of problems in the long term. The issue of climate change. And I want to thank the committee for really emphasizing on this. Mr. Speaker, the most mismanaged sector in this country is education. And I wouldn't like the chairman to run away from hearing this because he has spent a lot of time talking about the problems in the ministry. Yes, he is in charge of this in this parliament. Right now, the information out there is that
I wanted to request Chair to just allow him conclude.
I'll conclude then because he doesn't.
Honorable Rindikiri, you have less than 1 minute.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we really need money. We need infrastructure, even infrastructure. We need equal distribution of money through the ministry. If there is any ministry with a lot of unskilled, imbalanced. And that's why some areas are performing better than others. Some areas have better schools than others. Some areas are funded more than others. Inequality, equity must be exercised by the ministry. Equally, Mr. Speaker, we are pleading that the Ministry of Education comes out with, right now, correct information on the funding of the university. This government is doing quite a lot, but the information out there is not correct. And what I will ask the chairman of budget and the chairman of let me finish that. Yes, let me finish.
Somewhere behind you there.
Is that we need to have a civic education campaign starting between now. By the time university students go back to the university in September, October, they know that the parents are not being overcharged. It is causing a lot of problems out there. The chairman of budget has put a lot of money for education, but the way it is coming out there, it is not right. So, Mr. Chairman, with those few remarks, I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Dido Raso, Vice Chair, the Administration and Internal Affairs Committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And thank you indeed. I think you accommodated myself and Honorable Rindikiri when time had run out. And I think they say that great times call for great leaders. I think that is leadership on your part, and indeed we are very grateful. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this supplementary budget presented by the Budget Committee. And instantly, I want to thank the chairman and his team. On their feet, once the finance bill was thrown out, they had to come up with fresh numbers so that Kenya will have the budget for 2024-25. And for that reason, I want to thank the chairman of budget for showing great leadership, and also our members who form part of that committee. Honorable Speaker, they say that choices have consequences. And as soon as we were not able to get the finance bill, then we had to cut our cloth to our size. And this is why this particular budget actually is not supplementary. I think we have just redone the budget that we did almost 3 weeks ago in June. And for that reason, I want to thank the House, particularly the Speaker, and the team that has been able to galvanize so that in the end, Kenya gets a budget. Honorable Speaker, I want to just talk on a few issues. First is about security. Listening to our security team, both Interior and the National Police Service, as soon as the austerity measures were announced, I think there was a bit of disquiet because the police hardly have enough vehicles. Many police stations are not adequately manned. They talk about the issue of clothing, the issue of ration, and there are rafts of issues that potentially can undermine the security of our people, particularly those who don't live in towns or major centers. So for that reason, whereas austerity measures are good and important, we must look at those areas or those things that should never compromise the security of our people wherever they may be. Secondly, the Ministry of Interior was going to come up with many sub-counties, locations, sub-locations, to be able to provide services closer to the people, where you are going to have the DCCs, the SCCs, the chiefs and the assistant chiefs. But with austerity measures, even some of the ongoing projects of construction of new sub-counties are likely to be defaulted. This will have potential in affecting service provision to our people, particularly those areas that are underserviced by the national government. These in itself are some of the areas that maybe in supplementary too, we must deeply reflect to see that where is money going to be put if resources are found. Honorable Speaker, you sit in my committee. We were able to visit the sub-counties and counties in the North Rift that are terribly affected by insecurity. With austerity measures, we see potential of some of the bandits or those armed groups likely to regain their position and affect us once again. Because for us, when you gain ground, when you are able to place your right foot forward and restore security in an area, then you don't expect regression. And not putting enough resources into security may have a potential danger in that area. Honorable Speaker, the other issue, looking at this budget, As a committee, we were looking at the issues of duplication and also overlap of mandate, particularly in state departments that basically do coordination of government services. And as the committee of appropriation sit, they must do a tooth comb to see that government is not overly duplicating or overly coordinating. Those resources can really go to dire areas to provide service to our people. Honorable Speaker, the other area that is really of concern is those departments that are able to have good A&Es. The government printer is one of them. The immigration is the other. If we put enough resources into the government printer, because basically they are the ones who are printing all government documents, all confidential documents of government of Kenya. If we put enough resources, that government printer is able to run the Ministry of Interior. The immigration, we have seen that immigration is able to plow to the national coffers close to 100 billion shillings. If we put enough resources into that department of government, then we see the potential of that particular department giving us enough resources. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dido Raso, how many more minutes do you need to conclude? I see we are on the hour.
Maybe just 3 minutes, Honorable Speaker.
3 minutes?
Yes.
Not hurrying.
Yes.
Because the other alternative is that we postpone you to tomorrow.
I think I'm just finishing.
So then finish.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that magnanimity. So for that reason, if we put enough money in those departments that are able to plow enough A&A into the national coffers, then that is where we should put our money. Secondly, it is about the livestock sector. It is a very important sector, particularly for us, the pastoralist communities. We occupy 70% of the Kenya's rangeland. Our mainstay of that economy is livestock. This government, for the first time in history, they were able to put 1 billion into the restocking of livestock following that terrible drought that we experienced almost over 3 years. And that is money, if properly put and checked and adequately tailored to meet the objective of bringing back the pastoralist economy, then I think we are on the right track. I want to plead with the Honorable Chair of the budget. There is money called the Equalization Fund. If you can get a few shillings from equalization to restocking, then I think the pastoralist communities will be really happy about that. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to just say as follows. For Kenya to be an industrialized country, middle income, as per Vision 2030, we must put a lot of effort in terms of local manufacturing so that our youth, instead of complaining, there's enough jobs, their hands are occupied, their minds are occupied.